Hey man, welcome to this week's installment of Have You Seen? So this one was one of mine. So have you seen Rock and Rule?
Nope, not until now. It looked familiar, like vaguely familiar. I think I had definitely heard of it at a time or two, but it never came across my radar really. What's your history with it?
So I actually like Rock and Rule is one of those things that because I love animation, like especially a very specific age of animation. Like which is definitely Rock and Rule falls into where it's like you have wizards and
Rotoscope.
ha heavy metal. No, well, it's actually so there is some rotoscoping to it, but not really. Rock and Roll almost killed the studio that produced it because the a lot of the techniques they were using were so innovative, so like cutting edge, and they were self-funding, so they just kept shoving money into it,
Yeah,
which they would go on to use like a lot of those techniques. They did a lot of the Star Wars stuff afterwards.
I read about that. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of other companies would actually go on to use their animation techniques that they developed for this movie. Um, but it was one of those where I'd always caught pieces of it like on TBS. Like it was one of those films that did the rounds on like USA and TBS basically, like any of the Turner MGM owned properties, and there's a
hmm
specific reason for that. Which we'll get into at some point. But I never actually sat down and watched the whole thing. Like this movie was sort of my like wizard where I'd seen bits and pieces, but I was like, all right,
Yeah.
I think we're finally gonna do it.
It's very very Ralph Bakshi esque.
It is just like there's certain elements that remind me a lot of what's the Bakshi music one?
Like American Pop.
American Pop. Yeah, there's not in the like animation style as a whole, but there are certain elements specifically in how the characters are animated that remind me of American
Yeah,
Pop or the other
definitely.
Bakshi piece that has a name that's mildly racist. Um,
It's s something skin, I think is
correct.
you're referring to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, so just to paint a picture, very strangely, and I didn't I'm like there didn't need to be a purpose for it, but what has happened is we're introduced to a post-apocalyptic United States where mankind has wiped themselves off the face of the earth, and cats, rats, and dogs have evolved into bipeds and basically filled the space
They're just
that
people.
humanity used to fill. Yeah. That
The
is of
it's
no
so stupid.
it's of no consequence whatsoever other than they were like, "Hey man, how do we make some like cute people animal characters?" And somebody probably went, "Well, we need a reason."
It's some furry shit, like, really, like, there was no other reason than just, like, I wanna make animals, but people, or I wanna make people, but animals, and that's it. What is the purpose of why are they like that? Where are the people? Let's see, I don't know, it's 1982, so nuclear war.
I mean, a very real concern in 1982.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So the whole point is that Mock, an aging but legendary superstar, becomes obsessed with finding a special voice who happens to be Debbie Harry from Blondie, so,
Mhm.
because he wants to summon a demon for I still don't know what the purpose of summoning the demon was. Um, but he wants to summon a
Yeah.
demon from another dimension because his record sales are dipping.
Y like, not dipping, dipped. He's a has-been.
I know. Okay, I wouldn't say has been because he was still mostly selling out stadiums. Like he was very concerned that the stadium wasn't completely full, but it was still a stadium. Like
Yeah.
he's not playing like bars.
It's like, I mean, you could play, like you could go to a concert anytime, and there's, like, an old, like, rocker from 30 years ago that like people still show up, but nobody cares about them and nobody takes them seriously anymore.
Yeah, but that show's probably gonna be like at a bar venue, um, not an arena. You know, like you're gonna go to an arena, like the aging rockers that you might go see at an arena are gonna be like, you know, the Guess Who or the Rolling Stones, which this character is based off
Hmm.
of. He's based off of Mick Jagger, and in fact, um, so
I
in
can
the
see that.
original production of this, his name was Mick Swagger, and they got a letter from the Rolling Stones like production company, and they're like, you can't do that. And they were like, what? Well, why not? You can't
Because you're not
trademark.
paying us enough money. That's why.
Well, they were like, you can't trademark Mick. You can't trademark a first name. So then, like, apparently legal got involved, and they were like, fine, but we're keeping the Swagger, and they changed the first name to Mock. So he's Mock Swagger. Though they didn't change how he looks, he still exactly looks like Mick Jagger.
Yeah. It's like Mick Jagger mixed with David Bowie, mixed with like Prince,
Yeah,
kind
that
of.
was actually so that's actually exactly what they were going for. Like those were, dude, you nailed it right on the head. Like those were their inspirations, and like in the way he like stands and says certain things. Like when I first started watching, I was like, oh, that's David Bowie. But then like in the way he does like just, he looks and does certain facial expressions, I'm like, wow, they studied a lot of Mick Jagger
Yeah.
for this. Um,
I
but
mean, yeah,
so
he was definitely like his own character back then. Like, I mean, they, I think other properties also kind of they're like, let's make a Mick Jagger character. I can't think of any
uh
at the moment, but you know I'm right.
well, so and like the big thing for this um movie is like, and what they were hoping to cash in on was like, so Mock Swagger's singing voices are Lou Reed and Iggy Pop.
Yeah, that's
Um,
it. I see that like he's definitely an Iggy Pop for sure too. Also less
well,
rebellious,
it was very
but
cool that they got actual Iggy Pop, and you know, like in
yeah,
'82, the Stooges were still pretty huge, and Lou Reed, I mean, I think that was like at the height of his solo career after the Velvet Underground, so that would have been a big draw. Not to mention like, you know, Debbie Harry from Blondie. Like Blondie was still huge in '82, '83. Um, and then the oh yeah, they got like Earth, Wind and Fire to do the soundtrack, as well as
yeah,
Cheap Trick. That was the one that they like billed the highest.
yeah.
Though I will say that that Earth, Wind and Fire song at the very end, like it's only on. It was made for this movie. It's only on the soundtrack. It. I was listening to it last night. It might have become one of my favorite Earth, Wind and Fire songs because it's
Wow.
very Earth, Wind and Fire. It's just like you could listen to that in September, like back to back.
Okay.
Do you, can you take us like what's through the structure? Like what's the whole purpose? Like the band's going from ohmTown to New York and back, but why?
Uh, Shenanigans. Yeah.
There are
So,
shenanigans.
Mock, who for the first half of the movie, I thought his name was Mark. They were
And
like,
they were
"Hey,
just saying
Mark,
it.
how you doing?"
They were just saying it 80s.
Yeah. And then like I read some stuff about it. I was like, "Who's this Mock character?" I don't know this Mark. I know a Mark. I don't know a Mock. And then I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm mishearing it." Yeah. So he's a has been that I will die on that hill, and he's just like, well, fuck. Um, I think you said he needs to raise a demon for reasons, and he needs a particular voice to do that. So he's like checking out the actual bars, the up and coming bands, and being like, it kind of not like an official like America's Got Talent kind of thing, but he's scouting, and he finds. Did we ever find our main character's like band name?
I don't think
I don't,
so
yeah, they
because
don't even have a band name.
no, because they're they still haven't figured out whether they're two individual singers, a duo, or it's just the one dude and Debbie Harry gets backups.
Yeah, yeah, they're not really sure what's going on, but they can rock. And yeah, so there's some inner turmoil within the band, and like because Omar, he's a rocker. He's just like yeah, and then what's her name? Angel? Is it?
Yeah, Angel.
She wants to do ballads, and the two don't mix, but they both everybody agrees that they sound really good, but there's a lot of like clash. So Mach is just like, "Hey, come on over with me," and then a lot of things happen that like it's kind of confusing to me both times I watched this movie, and I guess he kidnaps her. And then the band like gets together. We're going to go save her, and then he tricks them into thinking that like well yeah Omar and Angel are also in a relationship together, so it's kind of the old Fleetwood Mac treatment where they're like in a relationship and they don't get along. And yeah, so Mock tricks Omar into thinking that Angel is like cheating on him with him, and so Omar's just like, "All right, I'm out of here," and then he hypnotizes the band to make Angel think that they don't care about her, and they're like, or not don't care about her, but they're like, "Hey, you're better off with Mock. Like this is good for you. We're gonna step aside." But they're actually like brainwashed, and then they decide to go save her again, and then you have the whole it turns into heavy metal all of a sudden where like Mach hooks her up, chains her to like a platform in a really bizarre like cult fashion where he like or like Clash of the Titans too. And
Oh
there's a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
movies that there's also a movie called Sorceress that does the exact same thing. That's another 80s movie. Yeah, 80s heavy metal, Clash of the Titans, um, Sorceress, Rock and Roll, all from the 80s, all did the same like cult raising of the demon, like
I mean
like
Conan.
female sacrifice thing. Yeah. Like the 80s loved that
I
shit.
mean, yeah, yeah, sacrifice was big in the 80s, which is actually interesting. So there was I'm curious what cut of the movie you ended up watching because
I'm
apparently
also
there's a
curious.
ton of different versions. Like there's the original Canadian cut because this was a Canadian film. But then when it came over, MGM got their hands on it and they cut it for theaters, redubbed Omar, so Omar's voice is completely different. And in fact, they redid the dialogue for Omar. So online, a lot of people will be like, "Oh, the American version, Omar's an even bigger asshole. Like he's more brash, he's more of a dick." In the Canadian one, yes, he's brash, but he's not a complete asshole. Um, but the studio didn't like that he sounded too New York. They wanted him to scale that back a little bit, which is why I was like, oh yeah, I could see how Mock became Mac. Like you throw a little Boston
Yeah.
Eastern accent into that, and you could get Mac.
Yeah, I don't know
Uh,
which version I watched. I just found it on YouTube. Somebody uploaded it on YouTube. So I don't know. I watched a version.
so apparently the the American version for a long time had been considered the only version
Yeah.
because there had been a studio fire that wiped out a lot of the original production material, the original production reels, and a lot of the original music tapes But somebody found a broadcast copy at the Canadian Broadcasting Center, and they used that to get the original American, to get the original full cut of it. But then MGM recut it again because in the first like MGM cut, there was it was straight up like it was the ancient satanic codes to summon a demon. Like the word satanic was very prevalent, and they were like, well, let's pare that back a little bit. So they recut it again, which is more of like the television cut, which is probably the one like I remember seeing bits and pieces of as a kid.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so it's like the version you get, there's a couple of different versions of it floating around. And actually archive.org has the original broadcast Canadian and original broadcast American. So they're watchable there.
Okay.
But
So
hmm?
yeah, so the Mach like gets Angel and hooks her up to. It's not exactly a sacrifice. He uses her voice to summon the demon, but by hitting a certain tone. But he ties her up as if it was a sacrifice. I guess he just had that whole like thing just set up. He's like, well, I gotta use it. Yeah, her voice raises the demon for reasons, and then what's the name? Omar comes in and he tries to save her, stop the demon, and save the day, but he fails. He sucks. And then she's just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just like fix this mess myself. And she sings a really annoying song. And then the demon goes away, and then the movie ends. Yeah?
well, her and Omar sing a song together.
Yeah. But she
And
does
and
that
that's
like melody that like da da na 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 na.
um I think wasn't that the one that they used to summon the demon? Because then when they
It
start,
was the same. It was the same one. No,
was it?
yeah, I think it's definitely the one that stopped the demon,
Well,
brought
it's
him back.
so the whole point to like the demon being stopped is her and Omar start singing together. And that's because there's that whole thing about like no one voice, no one
Oh yeah,
heart
that's true.
can stop the demon. So it
Yeah, I
isn't
forgot about
till
the AI guy.
yeah, just like a random AI duck. Um, which is not AI, like, or which isn't computer graphics. Like that's part of the really interesting techniques they used for this animation. All of that was done sort of like um the visual effects were done for like War of the World, not War of the Worlds, War Games and uh Aliens, where they were all individually like drawn out and back shaded to make it
Oh,
look like they were glowing neon, but it was
okay.
all still traditional animation techniques. But yeah, like so Angel and Omar, start harmonizing and from like two disparate voices become one voice, which in very much a Lord of the Rings, which is also a Ralph Bakshi animation,
Oh yeah, that's true.
where it's like no man can defeat me, and he pulls off the mask. It's like I am no man. It's very much it was like no one voice and heart, and they're like we're not one. Um,
Yeah.
and
Got him there.
oh, if only your band had only had one singer, boiled. And then Mock gets thrown into the demon pit by one of
Yeah,
his underlings. Very, very like Vader,
oh, yeah, throwing
Emperor
the emperor
Palpatine
down,
style.
yeah.
Yeah, where it's just like he carries him over and is like, oh, um, which and actually, so there was for a long time there was in the original there had been a cut where there was a scene where so the brother that gets, like hurt, who jumps in front of the death beam or whatever it was to save Omar, because
Yeah,
he watches a cartoon, tells him he needs to be a good person, and he's simple-minded, and he's like, Uncle Mikey said to be good.
right.
And in the American cut, you're like, oh well, that dude is dead. In one of the original cuts, after Mock gets thrown over the side, you see the brother that threw Mock like pick up his other brother who's named Zip.
Uh-huh.
You see him pick up Zip, and he comes back to consciousness, and you find out he survived. But for US viewers, nobody ever got that scene because
Oh.
Americans were like, we don't need to know that he's okay.
Well, then I saw the Canadian version because I saw that he picks him up and he's just like, "Yeah, Uncle Mikey told me to be good."
Nice. Um,
Okay, so that's what I saw.
yeah, so it's three. Mock has three underlings, which are brothers who also have a little sister that is vaguely integral to the film, because she's the one that originally gets Angel out of Mock's
Yeah.
Fortress of Doom, like airship of Doom, which is also a house. Um, so like the song that plays while they're at the sister takes Angel to a nightclub. There's a song that plays at that nightclub which is called Hot Dogs and Sushi. One
Huh.
of which is a cool little song. Um, and it apparently was known around that time because there's like references to it being played at arcades. One of the things that was lost was the original. There's a 7-minute version of that song. They got lost in the fire at the
Oh
studios
shit.
that produced this. Yeah, and so there's a completely separate. So currently, which is so weird that we're watching this now. In January of this year, um, the guy who did, can't remember if he did the promo art or he did um uh the line art, but he was one of the artists that work on this. His name is Andrew Varno, Andrew something. He like found, or Vern Andrew. He had a whole bunch of original fiction art. So, oh, he was the lead layout artist. That's what he was. Vern Andrew. He had a whole stash of additional production art and original reels. So in January of this year, he started up like this multimedia project to release like all the like lost art and lost layouts and like test films and stuff. So a lot of this had been considered lost media for a really long time. And this movie has a weirdly large cult following. Um,
Yeah, I did
sort
know that.
yeah, sort of in the same vein of like Fire and Ice and any of the Ralph Bakshi stuff and any of the heavy metal stuff. Um, and they were actively tracking down like all the media and all the pieces, which is how Vern Andrew came onto it. And then he's like, "Oh, there's this much interest. I might as well put together a little documentary." So
Okay.
he put together like an actual making of, which details a lot of stuff. Apparently, because they kept sinking money into this film, there was a lot of strife at the studio and there was a lot of infighting. So a lot of that actually gets documented, and you start finding out like a lot of those little things through it. Also, that apparently the execs at MGM. So MGM had just been purchased and there was a new executive board, there was new executive leadership. They hated this film. They actively tried to kill this film. Um, so they only released it cost 8 million to make, and it only made $30,000 because it only got released at like 3 theaters for a weekend, and they were like, "Oh, did bad.
Yeah,
Never release it ever again."
it made $0. practically.
30,000,
Uh,
which to an $8 million budget is, yeah, basically
might
$0.
might as well be zero. Yeah.
And they originally were billing it as they didn't like the rock and roll, like they didn't like that title.
That's the
The
best part of the
exec
movie.
I'm like, is it? I like the minor characters a lot. Um, but but they thought it sounded like a documentary, so they renamed it. They were billing it as Ring of Power originally.
Yeah,
So
that's
like,
not as that's
yeah,
not nearly as
what
good.
you know what else is also super weird that I noticed? Catherine O'Hara, who just passed
Yeah,
away,
right.
is in this movie.
Yeah, yeah, I did
She's
see that. I don't know who she plays though.
she was the tattoo artist.
Oh, okay. Huh. And this is like mostly early in her career.
Yeah, she was I think I did the math on it. She was like 29 or something. 30, no, it was like 32. Yeah, like it was before
Damn, she was that
Beetlejuice.
old back then? Yeah, it was before like yeah, Home Alone and all that stuff. Although I mean, it was released in 1982. They probably recorded her voice much earlier because this took years to film or not to produce. So it may be like 1979, 1980 even.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a good point. Like I think I don't remember if she was 29, 30. I did the math, but it was like the middle of the night when I was doing the math. Um, but yeah, that's sort of like, there isn't the plot is not complex. Like it isn't deep. It's very much a product of its time.
Yes,
Um, though some of the themes I think are pertinent, and they're pertinent to any time, which is like the corruption of fame, where it's like mock represents that dark side to celebrity, like that need to stay relevant regardless of what it costs other people. And a lot of the times that's just like consuming and destroying smaller bands to make yourself more relevant,
yeah,
which was probably just as true in the 80s as it is now.
probably the most relevant that's ever been. Because
Now
like
or
yeah,
in the
that
80s?
yeah the 80s because like that's like when like the music industry was probably the most like cutthroat, just like competitive, and like everybody's just trying to do their own thing and like focus on me, don't focus on that other guy, kind of thing. I
Yeah.
guess maybe I'm just making that up. I don't know, but I think that there's a lot more support now than there was then, like bands for each other.
I think definitely bands have had to learn to support each other. Like, the band Garbage?
Yeah,
So I went to go watch a show with them, and they were very much about like, this is going to be our final US tour unless something changes, because the music industry just does not support the people that make music anymore.
yeah,
The lead singer of Garbage, Shirley Manson, she was like, she was very upfront about stuff. So this was I saw it at not a small venue, and it was a Ticketmaster venue. And she's like, Our take home for this, we get less than 13% of ticket
damn,
sales,
yeah, that's
which is,
bullshit.
well, which is they, Garbage is not a soloist, like they're a band, and this band splits all the takes evenly, but it's 13% for the band, and out of that they still pay their tour support staff, their like roadies, they're lighting people, they're backup dancers, they're singers. Um, so that's why a lot of bands don't have any of that stuff because if not, they wouldn't even be able to make it. They
Right.
make all their we've known for all their sales off of merch, which actually there's like a cute little subplot in this thing about merch. There's a couple that is selling t-shirts that were like um it was like it was a couple outside the first mock concert. Um they're like I think they're just selling like mock's concert t-shirts, but after you see them in like the cutaways after the whole demon thing, and they're selling I survived the mock concert t-shirts. Um, but yeah, like the American music system is increasingly making it so that creators don't sign on to labels because they're not gonna there's no benefit for them. Like if they can hit it big on social media, like what's the point to signing?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Rappers are definitely doing that more so than anybody. Like all the SoundCloud rappers, they're just like getting 100%. It's they're working out so much better for them. I guess it's more difficult for bands because they have
Yeah.
to like record the instruments and everything. But there's technique to do that, so it's they can do it. It's just not as easy as rappers.
Well, even then, like with rappers, you have to have like there's still production and there's still beat makers. Yeah, you can buy canned beats and stuff, which I guess makes it sort of easy. But like I think much like sort of in the rapper sphere, like rocker sphere, all of production companies and labels are now more being run more as co-ops. Like the artists that are in the label have a vested interest and are owners of the label. So when
Hmm.
new artists come on, they also become owners of the label. So that way there's a vested interest in what they do and not fucking each other over. Um, because it's the only way that they're gonna see profits from their own effort and from their own work. Which then again, like I think this movie also like gets into a little bit that very 80s and 90s thing where big names would sort of develop smaller talent, but only up to a certain extent. Um, and you saw it a lot more, I guess, in the 90s. We're finding out with all the Puff Daddy stuff that's coming out, like he would put together all these incubators to hunt new talent, but
Yeah.
you know, instead of actually doing anything with that talent, he did things to that talent, which I guess in the instance of rock and roll is being tied to a soundboard and being played like a giant um
Yeah.
like like MIDI controller, which I think is also interesting. Like this came out in '82, so it was coming out of the like the end of the disco era, where it's like mock is electronic, like manufactured
Yeah.
um corporate music, and they're like the little garage band playing clubs, trying to make it, being kept down by the man.
Yeah, see, I love all of that about it. It's not very clear that that's what they're doing, but yeah, like if it was written better, this would be a much better movie, I think. But
Like
I love that that's the kind of the message, or like the kind of the implication, I guess,
yeah,
that
like the
they're.
meta plot, like the underlying theme of it.
Mhm.
Um, some of the stuff that they wasted time on though, where they could have done a little more, they could have used that time to develop the film a little better because it ran like an hour and a half. I do really like the scenes where they're traveling from. ohmTown, which is somewhere in California. Like I was thinking it was like LA, uh, to Nuke York.
Yeah.
w- Um, and they travel. You see them go through um, Monument Valley, which I was like, oh look, that's Monument Valley. Like that's really the way they did the panels for that, the like the background art was really pretty. And then I was
Oh.
like, they traveled through the Grand Canyon, and I was like, oh look, that's the Grand Canyon. Like that's really pretty. Um,
I think that ohmTown is just like a small town. OhmTown is hometown. Like they come from their hometown, which is ohmTown.
I mean, that's a good point. I don't think it's a small town because one of the plot points is that they needed more power, and Nuke York doesn't
Yeah.
can't generate the town that's literally a nuclear reactor can't generate enough power. So Mach packs up his angel synthesizer in his airship castle and
Yeah.
they head back to ohmTown, and Omar and the boys are like, "Well, I guess we got to steal another car." Or I don't remember how they get back to ohmTown, but they get back to
Yeah.
ohmTown, and apparently ohmTown produces enough power that he can summon the demon without breaking the power grid. So that's why I was thinking like maybe it's LA, but now that I think about it,
Maybe.
if it's producing that much power, it's got to be, yeah, it's got to be like LA or Vegas, like someplace that has close by access to the Hoover Dam. Because when they're driving, we do see the Grand Canyon, so they're in that general area.
That's true. Yeah.
Man, I had not put that much thought into it till just
I don't
now.
think they put that much thought into
Well, clearly somebody did because they got
it.
the direction of travel right when they were having their like cross country um what is it montage like in the Muppets where they're like we're gonna travel by montage. They
Yeah.
very much traveled by montage.
I mean, that's the best way to travel.
It's true. Um, so then like we've covered a little bit about like one of the other themes, which was unity and harmony, where like individually each of the band members were good, though it seems like Angel probably could have made it on her own. Like Omar's just keeping her down.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't know why she's hanging out with that band because like they're definitely on different wavelengths.
I I don't know about the band. Like the bassist and the drummer seem like pretty good people.
I mean, they are. I guess she flows together with the band, but the two singers they have two different like directions where they want to go.
Yeah. I mean, I like the song. I'm not gonna try to remember what it was, but I like the song Omar sings in the
Yeah,
bar. Like,
at the beginning, yeah,
yeah,
when he's just rocking out, yeah, that was cool. It really is like Fleetwood Mac because like Fleetwood Mac started out as like a blues band, and they were just like just fucking rocking, and then they had all their girlfriends join in, and then or wives or whatever, and then it completely changed to a different direction.
I actually didn't
And
know that. Like, I thought Fleetwood Mac was Fleetwood Mac. Like, it's always been.
yeah, a lot of people don't know that. Yeah, they started out as like blues rock, like not too different from like say Led Zeppelin or something.
Oh well. Um, and then there's like some like allegory to drug use where Mock is like, give him some Edison balls. And the bassist is like, no, man, I don't want to use Edison balls. And they're like, nah, you'll love it. And then they get all zombied out, and he's like, you don't need Angel. And they're like, nah, Angel, go with Mock. We love drugs now.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty similar to real bands as well.
Is that similar to Fleetwood Mac? Did Fleetwood Mac do a.
I mean, they did a lot of drugs.
I mean, who wasn't in the 80s? Like, but somehow they've kept Mick Jagger alive. Like, how
Yeah,
old is Mick Jagger? He's got to be like what,
he's
70s,
80s for sure.
80s?
80s, yeah.
and he's still going. Like they're still touring, which is crazy.
I know.
Um, so like they go back to hometown. The demons finally summon. Um, Mock has a weird like villainous breakdown. Stops caring about his henchmen. Gets Vadered off. Gets Emperor Palpatine off the edge by Vader. Um, we go through the whole sequence where his weird like AI thing was like no one voice. And the demon goes oh and gets dragged back to hell. Um, and that's sort of it. Like that's where the movie
Yeah.
ends.
Right. Yeah.
Um, so I just had a couple of like follow-up notes. One of the biggest things that I've seen people debating back and forth is Omar. Did you like Omar at all?
I like him as a rocker. But yeah,
But no,
once Angel started singing, he was like, "Ugh, this is bullshit. Girl playing." I mean, to give him credit, it went a completely different direction than where he wanted to. But I mean, yeah, he just kind of existed. He didn't do anything for the plot. He didn't save her at all. He just like, he was just like mopey and moody the whole time.
well, it's true. He actually didn't do anything for the plot because it's the other band members that are like, we gotta go save Angel, and they're the ones that are like, Omar, we gotta go save Angel. It's not till close to the end that he's like, oh, I gotta go save my meal ticket.
I guess that's another good allegory for like a rock and roll band, where it's like, I mean, not all of them, Chris, but a lot of like popular ones where, like the guitarist and the bass and drummer, they do all the work, write the songs, go the direction, and the singer just like kind of shows up and just sings the song and just like, yeah, it's all about me, and then they go away. And then when the band like finishes singing, they pack up all their equipment, their amps and stuff, and the singer's just like grabs his mic, is like, all right, did my job.
This very much is one of those things where it's like the rhythm section does most of the work
Yeah.
and don't get any of the credit. Because like, like when you think of big like, of huge bands, like even when you think of Ozzy, like it's Ozzy. Who who's Ozzy's rhythm section? Bono.
Yeah, like the guitar, he always has a super popular guitarist. You got Randy Rose, you got Zach Wild, and then who knows who the fuck the bassist is? Even though throughout the entire 80s and 90s, he used the same bass player who wrote all of his like best hits, and nobody even knows his name.
Well, isn't what's his name? The drummer who was also the lead singer.
Oh,
Uh
what you
Phil
mean?
Collins. No.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah,
Is it Phil Collins? Something in the Art of
yeah,
Night?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if he wasn't also the singer in his own thing, I don't think anybody would know who Phil Collins was. Like great music writer. I I don't know if great drummer, but
Yeah, I mean, he did the one song that's like boo doo 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 doo, and
I
that's
mean
it.
he also did the Tarzan soundtrack, the award-winning Tarzan soundtrack. Uh, but like if Dave Grohl, like take like Nirvana for instance, like if Dave Grohl hadn't founded Foo Fighters, um, I don't know if we would have like if Kurt Cobain hadn't committed suicide, I don't know if we'd know like Nirvana would have just been Kurt Cobain to a certain extent. Nirvana is just Kurt Cobain, especially to like newer generations that
Yeah,
don't sort of have the background on it. Um, but yeah, like nobody probably knows like unless you're like a really big fan of Nirvana or the Foo Fighters or even like the
yeah,
Germs,
of
like
course.
nobody recognizes Pat Smear.
Yeah, um, yeah. By the way, speaking of Kurt Cobain, like, yeah, we're recording this on February 15th. only like a few days after they said that um, Kurt Cobain officially was murdered.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you didn't hear that? Like, they finally
No.
like well, they didn't reopen the case. Like some like independent detectives or whatever like looked into it. They're like, yeah, he was absolutely definitely murdered. Like officially, that is the thing. But the police, they're not going to like look into who the murderer was, even though we all
So,
know it's Courtney Love.
I mean, is it Courtney Love? I don't know. Do I want to blame Courtney Love? Sure.
Yeah, but
Um,
yeah, that was a thing. Maybe Friday, Thursday, something like that.
that sort of takes away from sort of the mythos, like, of Kurt Cobain, because, like, him writing all this amazing music and then giving a shotgun a mouth hug, like, is very much sort of part of the, like, rocker mythology. Like, all these rockers that
That's
either
true.
die by suicide or by overdose.
Yeah, because
Um,
he couldn't stand like being in the
Limelight.
like mainstream like like a puppet to the machine, pretty much.
Yeah, like, very much in the ideology of this movie, like, he didn't want to be chained to the MIDI controller and worked like a corporate puppet.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. But no,
so
it was murder.
I mean, I'm gonna read up on it because like that does take a lot away from the sort of mythos that I think has made Kurt Cobain very popular with a lot of newer generations. Um, in the same way that I guess like um what was his name from the Sex Pistols? Sid Vicious was like really
Yeah,
popular with some earlier generations.
he's the Tupac of grunge rock.
I mean, see, with Tupac it's different because we know Diddy killed Tupac. And with Tupac it was always like what could have been if Diddy didn't kill Tupac. Which is which is crazy, like I mean, I don't know if it's confirmed or not. I'll still blame Diddy for killing Tupac.
Yeah, it's we know who the shooter was. A guy named Orlando something, and his cousin or uncle, uh, he admitted to it, and he had his home raided by the police a couple of years ago, 2024, I think. And that guy was a Crip who did like security work for Diddy.
Oh, interesting. So Diddy just like set him that
Yeah,
way?
yeah,
Was
pretty much because there was a lot of mm, the label war between
was
Death Row
Notorious
and Bad
B.I.G.
Boy.
before or after Tupac? I don't remember.
He was after Tupac went first, and then Biggie went like 5 months later or something like that.
Dang. I mean, the music industry. I think that's why I do like this movie is like it tries to touch at like the corruption and control of the music industry.
Yeah, I just wish it did it better. But
I
yeah, I
so
agree with that. Like it's all a metaphor, which I really appreciate. I both like and dislike this movie. I like the idea of it. I love all the imagery and everything. I just don't like the way it was executed.
um so do you think that the creators like picking a post-apocalyptic animal world for this story is essentially metaphor for the music industry or was just completely superfluous.
We might be giving it more credit than than we should. Maybe they just said fuck it, make just kill off all the humans because we want to make dog people. Like,
I mean,
I think that's more realistic, but, like, we're, like, creating these, like, cool, like, allegories.
Secret of Nim came out the same year, also from MGM Studios. So there may have been some sort of um like backroom reason that MGM wanted to kill off the other movie with anthropomorphized animals. Um Anthropomorphized animals were popular in the early 80s apparently. Like it was the hot thing.
Yeah,
And as
it
furries
really
will tell
was.
you, it continues to be the hot thing.
Yeah, it's, but I do really enjoy the metaphors, like, like, you could say that it has they made a remake, and you could say that that remake is Metalocalypse. It's, a metal band that's like the best, and they rock so hard that they create the apocalypse of the world through metal and raise demons. They're third episode of Metalocalypse. They accidentally raise a demon by playing a song.
Is
So
is that the Norwegian one where they're like, we can't play these grandpa's guitars?
yeah, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I love that episode.
Yeah, I mean, it probably was heavily inspired from this movie. Like, when I watched this movie, I was like, "Damn, yeah, this is Metalocalypse."
There's a Brendan Small who is, he's sort of the guy behind Def Clock and Metalocalypse and Home Movies.
Yeah,
He
he's the main writer. He does all the voices. He writes the music.
he very much is a student of animation. So it's very, very possible because this movie was Nelvana Films. Um, he very much would have known about this movie, might even be a fan of this movie.
Yeah, probably.
Uh, because like animation geeks, there's a couple of movies that they always talk about or they always go into. Um, and if not this movie, he would have known the Star Wars Holiday Special, which the studio did.
We don't have to
Um,
talk about that.
um, what's interesting though is that this studio was originally the studio supposed to do heavy metal, and they were like, "We're doing our own project," so they
Oh,
decided to
okay.
do this instead
Uh,
of heavy metal.
I didn't know that. And Heavy Metal came out in 1981, so that just kind of shows you how long the production was.
Yeah, yeah, like you were saying, like it probably takes years and years, especially because this was all hand animation.
Yeah,
Um, and they did a lot of, like I was talking about, they did a lot of new and like very on the cusp sort of animation techniques. Um, a lot of like the smoke and lighting effects in
yeah.
this movie
I
were
know where you're going with
were,
this.
yeah, they were real. Like they were recorded on sound stages and then either layered between other layers of animation or just composited in or rotoed in. But they were using multiplane cameras to
Yeah,
to give the effect, like that staggered effect of depth, which we wouldn't start seeing like larger
true.
studios doing till the late 80s or the 90s.
Yeah, like the
Um,
nightclub where they just show, like, people in the background, and they're, like, kinda like silhouettes, kind of, and they're just, like, kinda, dancing, and but you could tell
well,
that they're further back away.
even the long pans over the city that like do the long pan and then they pull out, that was very Blade Runner. Like when Blade Runner does the city and they do like the cityscapes on the miniatures,
Yeah.
this movie did a lot of it, but it also did a lot of um there was a lot in this film specifically in how the cities looked and the backgrounds. Cities reminded me a lot of Akira, and they used a lot of the
Okay.
techniques that Akira would use So this film, Akira, came out in '88. A lot of the techniques that this film sort of pioneered would be adopted by Japanese studios that were putting out movies in the late, like during the bubble era, that could actually afford to do it and could afford to do it the right way. So a lot of the techniques here would be transferred to other animation projects later on. So when you see handovers of the city, if you go back and watch Akira, not only are they super similar, but they look just as good. Where yeah, like you're talking about the people in the dance club, where you have buildings in the foreground, buildings in the midground, and buildings in the background, and they're all moving at different speeds. So you
Yeah,
get that Doppler effect or that tilt shift effect, which the yeah, the story not super great, but I think the individual production for this film is what makes it so good.
I agree.
Um,
Yeah, and then
Definitely a
there's
labor of love.
the smoke. There's a scene where there's like thick smoke, and he's like right after the nightclub where he's looking for Angel, and there's just a bunch of thick smoke. Like that was used with actual real cigarette smoke.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Wow, I didn't know that. That's very cool.
it is. Yeah,
Well, even a lot of like the at Mock's final concert, like a lot of the perspective effects in the concert where like Mock is looking down, that was filmography wise, like had that been shot on film, we'd be like, "Oh, that's a super cool shot." But
yeah.
because of Mock's particular cartoony style, and he has a very different style to everybody else. Like he looks hand drawn, whereas Angel, Debbie Harry's character, looks rotoscoped a lot. That was a little jarring for me, but a lot of the filmography techniques they used in animation here, like I think if they were transferred to film, we'd be like, "Oh, that's gorgeous."
Yeah.
But all that is why I think people should give this film a try, watch it, listen to the soundtrack. It's not going to be for everybody. A lot of people probably aren't going to watch it twice.
It's kind of hard to watch because there were many moments where I just like kind of got bored and I didn't know what was going on. There wasn't like a whole lot of exposition, and I was just like, I just didn't care during a lot of it, and I was just like, I don't know what's happening. And then like things would start happening again, and I'm like, okay, now I'm back in it. And then no, it lost me. And then all right, I'm back. And I think it deserves a good remake.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with a tighter story and definitely a slightly increased runtime, not something crazy, but maybe like 5 more minutes.
Yeah, and
Um,
no animal people like that. That was just kind of pointless and stupid. Like they're completely people. They walk around. They have society. They play music. They're in bands, rock bands. They have hair and clothes, and everything about them is people except for they have like snouts.
I
So
I I I don't have a problem with the animal people, but I don't think you need like a 2 minute scrolling Star Wars style introduction to tell you why they're animal people. Like I want it to be like when they're going across the Grand Canyon, like there should be like a downed bomber, like a down nuclear bomber, or certain areas are inaccessible because of radiation. Like I want little touches that make you go, wait, is everybody a rat? Because rats and roaches are the only thing that could survive. Like
yeah,
I want you to have to
uh,
think about
yeah, and
why.
this has none of that.
No, this very much spoon fed you that. I think it would have been good though, especially because they were coming out of the Cold War period. Um, to be
Maybe
like,
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
no, no,
Well, okay, so I would like kind of like a Fallout kind of thing where there's still people. Like society has crumbled. Maybe there's nuclear war. Maybe whatever other reason. It's post-apocalyptic. I'm cool with that. And the only thing that has survived is rock and roll or heavy metal or something like that. And it's just like that's what like keeps people like together as a society is rock and roll. Like I would dig that.
I mean, it does sound like society was very much driven by rock and roll in Rock and Rule. But yeah, my final take, I think this is going to be a really great movie for like animation geeks. Like if you're a fan of like
Yeah,
the works of Ralph Bakshi or Don Bluth,
definitely,
um,
definitely, yeah.
I think they're going to be a fan of this movie. Even Akira, I think they're going to be a fan of this movie. If you like a good story, probably not for you. Your final thoughts, final takes?
I wish I had seen this movie when I was younger because this is definitely geared towards young adults, maybe teenagers. I would have probably loved it if I saw this when I was a kid, and I think I saw it too old in life. Like why watch this when I could just watch heavy metal? It's which I love heavy metal. Um, like I like the idea of it. I love the imagery. Like I said, like a post-apocalyptic world full of like rock and roll is the only thing that survived. Love it. I just don't like the production of, or like, I guess the final product. Everything that I said earlier. Um, but yeah, it's fine. It it's parts of it are boring, parts of it are kind of cool. It deserves a good remake.
No, with the note of show this to your child, not your inner child. I think that's going to be it for this week's episode and where we covered rock and roll. So everybody have a good one.